Hi, I'm Don. Today we paint a couple of miniatures, a couple of owlbears from Mammoth Factory Games. These awesome miniatures will be part of their Kickstarter that is live today. We start with a very dark gray zenithal. As you could see, there's a very dark tint of gray painted from the top. So watch this video as we turn these miniatures into this. I'm Don, welcome to my studio. This channel is supported by all these awesome brands. Also, this channel won't be possible without the support of my patrons. We start with Basil Gray. It's the usual choice, but you could choose whatever dark grayish color that you have. I can pretend that I decided to start the painting with black and white fur sketching so that we yield very good results. However, to be honest, it's just that I started with this black and white fur sketch because I'm very undecided with my actual color scheme. Also, I wasn't feeling well when I started this project, so I'm sneezing and coughing. I have asthma and I think you could hear it in my voice. I'm still not well, but I wanted to just leisurely paint the fur and kinda gauge where I think the highlights would fall. I was very undecided during the start of the painting. The angles, the miniature, especially the big one, looks good from the left. It looks good from the right. So I was undecided where to put my main source of light. So I was just leisurely sketching and building up the fur so that I can identify where the light source would look the best. The baby owlbear was easy though, because you know that the front part is like the best part. So it was just a matter of painting more fur roughly around on the top left of the model just to define the light source. But with the big guy, I wasn't really sure where I want the light source to be. So I just painted the fur to really give it good definition. I stopped with deck tan with the sketching of this fur, but you could go further and make it lighter, like up to ivory or even white. At the end of the day, this is just your foundation or base as we apply color glazes to give this miniature some color. So this sketch is nice and all, but it's just a foundation color or layers. This will be a little bit covered with our glazes. Now, to make this video a little bit more accessible, I decided to use my Citadel washes and contrast paints. When color glazing, I usually prefer my cuttlefish colors and use these washes and contrast paints mostly for recess painting or just some accent colors. But with this one, we primarily use the Citadel washes, which are really good, and also it makes this video a little bit more accessible and relatable because Citadels are very accessible to most painters. When painting from light to dark, it's it's kind of important to start with the lightest color. So if you want this to have a yellow tint, you should have started with Cassandra Yellow. But I started with Fuegan Orange, which was a bit dark. So the second pass, I used this lighter orangey yellow-orange color, which will make my color more vibrant. So this painting is practically slapchop. However, I'm kinda confused with the definition of slapchop these days. There are so many versions, and since we did not do dry brushing from the start of the black and white sketch, I cannot call this slapchop. Layering with transparent colors like inks, washes, and contrast paints is basically the same as layering with opaque paints. However, they are a little bit more unpredictable because you're playing around with transparencies. However, if you apply them like do them in most of your painting, you'll be aware on how they kind of layer together, and you know you kind of like project the results by combining all these transparent paints. So basically, layering with transparent paints is to make sure that you start with the lightest colors, the vibrant colors, before you jump to the darker shades and washes. However, if you overdo the washes and the contrast paints, the effect would be like a very dark model, which is fine because you simply just need to paint more highlights again so that you make some of the details and edges and highlights of the model pop again. So now it's a matter of just detail painting. Now you could see I'm painting the eyes, although I do not record the painting of the eyes on film because I might ruin it. And then after that, we enter the flip-flop stage. Again, I can lie and not show you this stage and just show you the black and white first sketch and then the slap chop, the washes and contrast paints, and then show you the final result. However, I did not do that. I had to retouch the highlights, had to like paint a bit more yellows on the fur, and now you could see I had to paint aquamarine blue on the blue parts of the fur so that I make the model pop a bit more. Now, before I reveal, a ton of thanks to all my patrons, because without my patrons, this channel won't be possible. So that's it. The process is fairly straightforward. We did the black and white first sketch with gray paints until up to deck tan, but you could like really give it very nice fur highlights up to ivory or even white, and then we tone down everything with washes, not really tone down, but give it color, and then eventually the result is toning down of our first sketch. Once we tone down the first sketch, well, that is the second part, which is the application of the washes. We now do the flip-flop stage, my usual flip-flop stage, wherein I'll paint a little bit more highlights in some areas, and then at the tail end of those highlights, I'll tone it down with cuttlefish colors so that I have nice gradation of my highlights. In that manner, I create more color depth, more like very nice blends in a way, even though we just painted fur. So I painted these models like for a couple of days, although less hours per day than usual because I'm not feeling well. The main lesson of this painting is if you're sick or you're very undecided with your color scheme, starting with a black and white sketch will always be a safe route. So define the highlights and make sure that you also define the details of the model, and just paint black and white before you add in the colors. That's it, Pansit. I hope you liked the video and watch this other video.